I guess I'll start now. Just welcome everyone, some housekeeping notes for everyone who's joining. If you have questions either for specific panelists or just in general, please drop them in the chat or the Q&A section and we can organize them on our end. And this will be recorded and uploaded to our website for folks to check out later. So this is not the last opportunity you'll get to view this. So thank you all for joining us today for this special event. GLSEN and Netflix are very proud to partner on this amazing film, The Prom. For folks organizing the GSA watch parties for The Prom, we've created a discussion guide, which you can check out on glisten.org or in the chat.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about GLSEN now. GLSEN is the leading national nonprofit focused on inclusion for LGBTQ students in K through 12 schools. Now we will have the panelists introduce themselves with their name and pronouns. And so, without further ado, let's introduce our guest today. Either one can start.
Hi, I'm Ellen Pellman, she, her pronouns, and I'm coming at you live from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Hey, I'm Ariana DeBose, she, her pronouns, and I'm originally from North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina.
I also just want to give a shout out to the GLSEN prom guide, like the talking point guide. So helpful. I was reading through it and it made me think about the film in a new way. And I love the discussions that you all are sparking with this guide. So check it out. It's really, really helpful. Thank you, GLSEN.
All right. Hi, I'm Amina. I use she, her pronouns. And just to break the ice a little and start off with a light question. If you had to eat a candle, what scent or flavor would it be?
I'm so obsessed with that question. Are we all gonna answer? I want to hear everyone's answers. I would probably, it would be like a vanilla sugar cookie, like very sweet scent. They seem so good.
Oh yeah, I'd probably do like a cake batter candle. Yeah, cause go big or go home.
Next question. I know that Ellen, you sang a song from Fun Home for your audition, which is also an amazing musical. So I'm interested to know what other musicals are you two listening to these days in your free time, or what are some of your favorite musicals? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. Yeah, Fun Home. I sang Changing My Major from Fun Home, which highly recommend you check out. It's based on the graphic novel by Alison Bechdel, and it is this like wonderful lesbian coming of age story. And I mean, it's so beautifully written. And so I always am listening to that because it just makes me cry. I love, it's my guilty pleasure, the Legally Blonde soundtrack or the cast album. It's amazing. And then I'd have to say Hair never gets old. I love a classic.
You know, I listen to The Color Purple a lot. It's great. It's really beautiful. I listen to Chicago just because it's kind of iconic, and with the passing of Anne Reinking, like that's sort of making me happy listening to her lately. Legally Blonde is amazing. I agree with you on that one. And Aida, the Aida soundtrack is really quite genius. Heather Headley, I mean, forget about it. Sherry Renee Scott, come on. Just a full belt. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, very briefly that I'd probably eat a sea-scented candle just because I want to feel like the ocean slapping my mouth because I love the water.
Sea-scented candle.
Okay.
I respect that. Like a little bit, it's like salty, like with a little bit of sand. Okay.
A little bit of sand, crunchy.
Yeah. So my question for y'all is, well, first of all, I'm in love with your voices. Y'all have wonderful voices, both like singing and
You.
speaking voices are very pleasant as well. But I wanted to know if you could perform any song on any stage or platform, like the Olympics or I don't know, I can't really think of another platform. But if you could, what song would you choose and where would you want to perform it?
That's quite the question, my friend. That's like a big question. Joellen, if you look like you have an answer.
I do. Well, I immediately, like, one of my favorite songs, I am a Dolly Parton stan for life, and I love Light of a Clear Blue Morning. It is the most uplifting, just like positive song. When I listen to it, I'm like, everything's going to be okay. And I would sing Light of a Clear Blue Morning, like, I don't know. I'll use your suggestion, Eric. Light of a Clear Blue Morning at the Olympics.
Come on, the Olympics. I immediately thought like Super Bowl. Like what would I want to perform at like a Super Bowl halftime opening moment? See, now I'm on the Dolly Parton track because, great lines. I'm obsessed with Baby I'm Burning. Anybody? No? It's amazing. Go look it up. Because it like feels like a disco vibe, but it's just nothing but loving who you love. It's amazing. Yeah.
I could also see you on the same like the Dolly vibe. You would kill And I Will Always Love You. Like, oh my gosh. I do love that pay song. Good money. I would pay good money to hear that rendition.
Oh my God. I would do that. I want to hear you sing Jolene. See, now we're off topic, but like,
oh my God, I know we're so off topic. I used to think like I'm so connected to the song Jolene only because my name is Joellen, and I was like, this song is written about me, but it is not. Main character syndrome.
No, we could go into a different conversation about that one, but that's good though.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I agree with Jolene as a great choice.
Oh, good.
Yes, so I didn't introduce myself earlier. My name is Aiden, and all of the students on here were all members of the GLSEN National Student Council, by the way. Yes. So my question, so I like, and I think most of us didn't really have very much good LGBTQ representation on screen, like in our youth. So my question is, what would a movie like The Prom have meant to you if it had come out while you were a teenager or a kid?
You want to go?
There you go. You go.
I mean, I think it would have meant the world. I had a very unique experience growing up in that. So I have a single mother and my mom is gay. And so like queerness was in some ways like very much the norm in my household because like she is, my role model. And it was just like, yeah, it's normal. It's celebrated. Like it's human. But also there was so much cognitive dissonance too, like being in the suburbs of Cincinnati in Ohio, and also not seeing any representation that I saw in my house on screen. And I think it would have meant the world, especially someone who was such like a musical theater lover, and to see like myself represented in this art form that I just adored, like that would have meant the world to me. And I'm just so excited for like the next generation, for their first introduction to the world of musical theater. It could be through The Prom that has such a great message. And I mean, like, I'm so excited for like this next generation who like the first thing they're introduced to is The Prom.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I grew up in a single parent household. My mom's white. My dad wasn't a part of my life growing up. So, and certainly growing up in North Carolina, the idea of queerness or identifying as LGBTQ was not discussed in my household. It wasn't a thing. But I will say I was lucky enough to have an incredibly accepting parent. It was, when I did have the conversation with her, it was totally fine and normal, and we moved right on after it. But I do think that if this movie had been out when I was growing up, I would have I don't know. I think I would have probably just had a better understanding of things quicker. You know what I mean? It would have eased this journey of identity, the representation of it, especially if I did someone who looked like me identifying as queer on my TV set. That would have been a big deal. Yeah, I would have loved it if that had been a thing. But I'm, like Joellen said, I'm really glad that a new generation of young people have this film. They do have a blueprint. They do have, you know, I think we are really good, excellent humans, Joellen and I. So that sounded really weird, but I think we're good people, you know? So, and we deeply care about our audience. We care about you guys. So I'm just really excited to be able to interact with everyone and share the film with folks. It's great.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, that this increasing representation in film. But for you individually, as queer individuals, how did playing a queer person in this movie impact you specifically?
I mean, it was part of my journey from like day one. And I mean, from day one with my experience with the film, I remember in my audition, I did the sides, I sang Changing My Major. And then I wasn't planning on doing this at the end, but on my way out, I told our wonderful casting director, Alexa Fogel, I was like, hey, I know identity is really important to this piece. And if it helps you at all, I'm queer. Because I knew that was going to be an important part of this conversation, and I wanted them to know all of me. And then immediately she was like, wait, hold on, come back. And she gave me some notes on the scenes, and I got to do the scenes again. And then she just started asking me more questions about growing up. And so I got to tell her about growing up in the Midwest, and my experience growing up with a gay mom and coming out in high school. And I feel like so much of my experience is vital in my portrayal of Emma. And I think that I was able to speak out, that I was able to tell this part about myself to our casting director. And then Ryan saw that. And I think that's, that the importance of that can't be understated, I don't think. And I do think that might be a part of, why I am here today, is because I offered this part. I was truthful about myself, and I was like, I'm just gonna say this because it's true. So.
Yeah, I would say, I've been out and very queer for what feels like a long time. I think people forget, I look quite young, but I've been working in the entertainment field for 10 years. That feels like a long time now. But when I, first saw the Prom, I loved the show on Broadway because it was one of the first times I'd ever seen an experience that was even anything close to my own on a stage. And then auditioning for the film and meeting Ryan, that was more of a conversation. He asked me a lot of questions about my lived experience, about being queer and what it meant to me. And that was really, really cool to be able to freely express myself and my views about this lived identity. Because when you are a Black presenting person, whether you are a young person, you're a person, and you're queer, and you're walking in the world that we live in, it can be really complicated, really, really complicated. Specifically when you're talking about the journey of identity. And that it was really great to be able to share that with him, to be heard and to be encouraged to infuse this into the part.
That is amazing. I mean, roles like this are just amazing to come by, just so you can do what you two both described. Moving on, I'm from Georgia. Oh, I should probably introduce myself. Hi, Suraj, he, him pronouns. Should have done that earlier. I'm from Georgia, and as everyone knows, runoffs, all of that's going on. And that raising awareness for voter registration and things like that. And for the Unruly Hearts Foundation, which you two founded together, raising awareness for those two causes and a bunch of others is something that you two have been very vocal about and very active in using your platform for. So what do you, can you share more about the Unruly Hearts project and why it's important for you to use your platform to help activism?
Sure. Ari, do you want to go or?
No, you go first.
Sure. Yeah. So Ari and I, we created this Unruly Hearts initiative as a way for anyone who feels like call to action after they watch the film, whether it's to, seek help or whether they want to give help and they want to become more active in their community. We founded it as a way to connect our audiences with these amazing organizations that are already doing the work, and as a way to also like amplify what they're doing and raise money. And so it's been, I'm so grateful that Ryan has been so supportive of it already. And we've got some like really exciting things planned, but we also, it's just never lost on me. Like, we have been given such a gift, and it's like because of the audience of the prom. And it's like, I think for me, it's like the only responsible thing to do is to use this platform that like y'all have given us to do some kind of good, to connect people with the Trevor Project, with the Point Foundation, with Covenant House, with GLSEN, and make sure that our audiences are so supported in every way.
Yeah, I just echo everything Joellen said. I've always had the belief that, platform isn't much good unless you're going to use it to try and be of service. I learned that very, very early on in my career from a lovely woman named Judith Light, who's also an activist and an advocate for LGBTQ, for the LGBTQ plus community. And this is the most thrilling part about it. To be able to pick up the phone and have Ryan and have Netflix help us, to have the entire Ryan Murphy universe, familia, come out of the woodwork to support us in supporting all of you. That is the greatest gift. And I think, the only way we get through the time that we're living in is together, right? And I think initiatives like the Unruly Heart Initiative just provides us that exact avenue to do that. So it's really exciting, and it's been really thrilling so far.
That is wonderful. It is awesome to see people with platforms using them for good. And also when you said Judith Light, I got really excited. I love her. She's amazing. She's so wonderful.
Oh my God, she's the greatest, like, of life. She really is. She's the queen.
So again, and also just great representation, and the fact that representation is branching out so much nowadays, and now not everyone has to focus on one character that's like the umbrella representation for a whole community. Like, this one brown person is going to represent every single person that's not white, and they're going to be my representation. Now, like, we have more people who look like us individually. It's just wonderful. Again, thank you for that. So that the prom is having an impact on people everywhere. A lot of people are being inspired, motivated by it. It's having a very wide range of effects. So what do you personally hope people take away from watching the film?
I hope that on just a surface level, I hope that it gives audiences just 2 hours of pure joy, of laughter, and I hope that it's just like a little respite from everything else that's happening in this crazy year. But also on a deeper level, I hope that it reminds them and it inspires young audiences that their chosen family, their found family, is out there too. Like, the entire reason that Emma is able to find her voice and to share her story in Unruly Heart is because she has the support of this Broadway troupe of actors, of Alyssa Green, of her grandma, and that's her chosen family. They're not related to her by blood, but she still feels all of that love. And I just hope that young audiences walk away from the film feeling like, okay, my family's out there too. Like, even if I haven't found them yet, there are people out there who cannot wait to love me and support me. And yeah.
I love that. I would just say that, I hope young people can look at our film and see that there's a blueprint for what it might look like to have these conversations. And what I think is really honest about it is that, especially in the manifestation of the Green family, like, it's not easy, right? It's not necessarily cupcakes and sprinkles. There are challenges, there are bumps in the road, but at the end of it all, there is a happy ending to be had of sorts, because it's not perfect. Like, Alyssa's mom shows up to the table and says, "I love you unconditionally." And that is the happy ending, right? Like, that's the goal. We're not required to always agree with our parents, and they are not required to always agree with us, but meeting each other halfway and being able to have those conversations from a place of mutual respect and from a place of acceptance and love, unconditional love. That's the goal. And I think it just serves as a really good reminder of all that. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And yes, I absolutely agree. It's just like conversations. That's how you make change, is talking to people. And yeah. So this will be the last question before we move on to audience Q&A. And my question is, what do you want to see in terms of LGBTQ representation on TV and in movies in the future going forward?
That is such a great question. Frankly, I want more, just in all genres and all like levels, no highbrow, no lowbrow. I just want more, because the more representation there is, the more freedom, the more kinds of stories that we get to tell, the more, we just need more executives to say yes to these amazing LGBTQ plus filmmakers and creatives and actors who have these ideas. Like, we are creating the work. We just need like the people at the top to let us do it and to give us the money. So just more representation, because we need all different kinds.
Yeah, it's exactly what she says. It's about, really championing LGBTQ plus identifying individuals to be in front of the camera, behind the camera, to show run, to sit in those positions of power, those executive seats as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really, we have a real opportunity moving forward to normalize LGBTQ plus relationships and to remind people of the humanity, right? Because I think that's what television and film can do really, really well. I know, Alphabetic Mafia, you're funny. Sorry, that chat is just running. It's just scrolling. But I do think this is a really great opportunity to normalize our relationships and our dynamics as a part of the human spectrum, right? To take it a step further than just, shows like The L Word or, any of the films that Netflix has produced like over the last 5 years that have been LGBTQ. Like, and there have been many, but it's also getting the bigger networks on board, getting the bigger film houses on board, and just allowing it to be the norm, not the exception.
Yes, thank you so much. And I, again, completely agree with that. LGBTQ representation doesn't just need to be a side character or somebody who is introduced and then dies in 2 episodes. It's all too common. It's not good representation when things like that happen. But so now we're going to move into audience questions, and Amina will get us started with that.
All right, so an anonymous question from the audience is, what was your favorite scene in the prom to film?
It low-key like changes every day. Every single one was my favorite, but right now in this moment, I would probably have to say Zaz. just because so much of like shooting it was literally me just sitting on a couch and watching Nicole Kidman sing and dance and act her face off. And I will just like never forget. It was so much fun. And then dancing, like the Fosse dancing is hard. And thank goodness for our dance team because they made us look amazing. And I just love working with Nicole. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I think yeah, Zaz is so good. I think my favorite thing to shoot was something that I was just kind of expensive background in. It's not about me. I love that number. I love Meryl. I thought she was fantastic in this film, and just getting to watch her work. And also it was an all skate day, you know, Joellen and I were on set, Carrie was on set, everyone was on set, like Keegan, all of us. So it was a fun, it was actually my first day of filming. So it was a big first day, but it was awesome. It was truly thrilling to just watch the work and watch Maddie Lee Batik, who's our DP, director of photography, like so cool to watch him work and adjust lighting and figure out the whole thing works. It was so great.
Yes, the Zaz scene, the Fosse choreography, so good. Okay, Craig Gordon, who uses he, him, or they, them pronouns and calls himself a proud member of the Unruly Hearts Club, asks, how did you get to know the musical before you got cast in the Netflix film?
So I first even like heard about the Prom when I was in school. I was taking a musical theater history class, and we talked a lot about like how shows get to Broadway, and there's, you know, the out of town tryout part of a show, and you know, sometimes it's at a regional theater, and we used the example of this show called The Prom, which was playing at the Alliance Theater in Georgia. Shout out to Georgia. It just sounded like something like that was really interesting, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put a pin in this, and I want to see this someday. And then flash forward to the spring of 2019, my mom was visiting me in New York City, and we decided that the one Broadway show we wanted to see was The Prom because it had all of these themes that just like really hit home for us, and we loved it. There was like, we turned to each other during the scene. It was like the scene at the fake prom where Emma and Alyssa are on the phone together, and we both turned to each other and we were just like bawling, and we just loved it, like belly laughing and crying through the whole thing. And yeah, it was one of my favorite shows that I've seen on Broadway.
Oh, so good. Yeah, I saw the Broadway show 3 times. I stood for 2 of them. I was obsessed with the show, and still obsessed with the show. I listen to the OBC recording frequently, but I loved it. I loved how the people were reacting to it. I loved that there were so many different types of people in the audience. It was great, and you know, I will forever be a Beth Level stan. Homie, like, oh, so good. It was thrilling. It was thrilling to watch so many people who I consider friends and colleagues in a show that is about something so close to my heart, and all of those different things. It was just absolutely thrilling to watch the story be told. Yeah, it was great.
The play was awesome. We
Yeah,
have a question. Yeah, it was amazing. It's just an amazing production in general. Everything about it, the movie, the play, it's just excellent. So Emily is asking Ariana, what is the difference between acting on stage and in a movie, and do you prefer one over the other?
I mean, there's like a 2-part answer. Good question, Emily, right? Emily. For me, creating characters, I create them in the same way, no matter the medium. Because, you know, characters have to have a very big, full life. For me, the difference in performance is understanding how my audience is receiving the performance. So working in theater, I can make different choices, different bolder choices, because I have to play to a theater of 1,800 people. Whereas for a film, I'm playing to you right here. That's a different type of performance, but the life of the character is the same to me. I do think though, like, it does feel like two slightly different skill sets to me, like a right brain, left brain sort of thing. It's just the understanding of what I'm doing and how I get to communicate the performance, if that makes sense. But I was thinking about it, it's like, I don't know that everybody can do both. I think, I think Joellen and I are really lucky to be trained. Like, she's trained at the University of Michigan. I trained in the School of Life and on the job, but we're given backgrounds that allow us to understand both mediums. I don't know that everybody perhaps has the same understanding of each medium, if that makes sense. Am I making any sense, Joellen?
I would say yes. And I would also just add to that, like, I think so. I've been, in quarantine, all auditions are self-tapes now. And my mom has been the one who's helping me with self-tapes. And it's actually been amazing because she's able to, like, she has no background in theater whatsoever, has never studied it, but because she's watched so much TV and so much like great TV, great performances and great movies, like she's able to tell when something feels real and not. And so I think like no matter if you have training or not, like that doesn't matter. Like, when you're seeing a performance that just feels real. And so I think like we all watch TV, we all know what shows we like, we all can see good acting. And I think just if you're looking to like get into film acting more, just like start like taking notes when you're watching a show that you really like. Take notes, see like, okay, like actually what are they doing? Are they moving their eyes a lot? Are they shaking their head? Like, how does this actor do it? And it's honestly, acting is so often just mimicry. And your tools like are right there on your Netflix account, on your Hulu account. And I would say, like you don't need a fancy degree. You don't need to take classes. Like you literally can watch something and like take notes and apply that to your own scenes if this is something that you want to do.
Yeah. Well, and I would say, like, given the fact that we're all in a virtual learning space for the most part, like, don't underestimate what you can learn during this time. It feels like, oh, we can't be in the theaters, but I'm like, homie, your best resources are on YouTube and Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and HBO Max. Like, take the notes, watch the performances. Like, when I was starting out in theater, because I wasn't choosing a traditional path, I got on playbill.com and I combed through that website trying to learn who was working, what choreographer was doing what show, had they won any Tonys, what did they win the Tonys for, and let me go find all of the video content I could find to study their work. If you want to work in a business but you don't really know who's in the business, do we really think we're going to be that successful? It's a question to me. So, use the tools you have. I'll shut up now.
Thank you for that. And yeah, I stage manage at my high school, so that was all really interesting to hear.
Stage management. Come on, stage manager.
Yes. Okay, so for the next question, Kira asks, did someone inspire your versions of Emma Nolan and Alyssa Green?
What was that?
That's a good question. If someone inspired our versions of Emma Nolan and Alyssa Green, I would have to say I just kept in all of my scenes, and truly before every day that we were filming, I would just go back to the script and I would skim it, like figure out like, okay, what happened immediately before, what's happening after, what does the scene set up for the next, scene that I am in this journey. And I do think like it's up to the actor to, make individual choices, but it all is rooted in the script. And like, thank goodness we have such wonderful material that's written by Matt, Chad, and Bob. And yeah, it's like I could play with, you know, certain lines and have fun, but it all comes back to what was written. And I do think that's kind of the beauty of this, because like eventually the prom is going to be like like the rights are going to go to schools and community theaters and regional theaters, and so there's going to be so many different versions of these characters, and everyone is going to be able to play them in their own way. But the magical thing is like it's all based on the same text, and I think that's the magical thing about theater.
Yeah, I agree. I really agree. It's I mean, I can tell you my Alyssa is not based on any person. It's derived from the text, and, you know, pulling on just either real lived experience or the emotions around a real lived experience, or, you know, stories I'd heard, but it's not any one thing. It's just humanity, human reaction. But I do think that Joella makes a great point. I think what I can tell you throughout my career is I've always been encouraged to create my own version of a character. I've done a lot of understudying on Broadway. When I understudy, I never duplicate what my leading lady's doing. I don't do it because I'm not Patina Miller. I can't do what Patina Miller does. So what I can do is go back to the text and create my own version of what it feels like for those lines to come out of my mouth, or what's my truth within the story. What do I think a person walking this journey would do? How do I think how do I think they would react? English. Wow. But you see what we're talking about. It's about finding your instincts through what is on the page. Unless you're playing a real person, that's a little bit of a different thing. But you're welcome.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. Thank you for sharing with us. Isabel is asking for a happy birthday shout out. Happy 15th birthday, Isabel. She's asking if you could.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. Isabel's asking if you could choose a different character to play from the prom, who would you choose?
First of all, happy birthday, Isabel. Happy 15th. I hope you're listening to 15 by Taylor Swift. It's your Taylor Swift birthday. And I would like do anything to play Angie. I think it's the most fun role, and like Nicole killed it, and she had so much fun, and I'm like, wow, I want to do that.
Yeah, happy birthday, Queen. You know, I'd either play Principal Hawkins or Dee Dee. One of the two. I don't know why, but that just makes sense in my spirit.
I would live to see you as Principal Hawkins.
I mean,
so good.
It's like a fantasy I don't want to have.
Okay, I admit that got to me.
That got to me. Oh, cute.
Oh my gosh, we're quoting our own movie. Who are we?
Is that bad? Oh, that might not be very good.
Is it bad?
Well, I also listen to my own OVCs every once in a while, just because I'm really proud that I made it on an OVC. Not gonna lie.
I hear you. I've been listening to our soundtrack on Spotify occasionally. I'll just be like,
I mean, sometimes you just gotta find that joy and remind yourself that yes, we did that.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for letting us share that with you.
You're welcome. GLSEN.
Always support that. Always. I would seeing Keegan Michael Key play Alyssa. I mean, that would be amazing. Do a role switch. Would love to see a new recording.
Okay. Actually, his Alyssa Green might be pretty good.
Rebecca asks, do you have any special hidden talents?
No. Yes.
What is
happened
it?
at the same time. Okay, so I do believe I'm showing my age right now. I am 25. I do feel like a grandma. But there was a show on PBS when I was growing up called Zoom. I don't know if anyone remembers this show Zoom, but oh my gosh, no. Wait, okay, people know what Zoom. Okay. But there was a language that they spoke on there, like a gibberish language called Abby-Dubby. And I watched this show so much when I was little. Like as a 3-year-old, I could speak it fluently when I was 3. Aband, abai kaban stubble spubby cup it flubu up and lubby. Aband naba abai kaban spubby abanabi abadabber lubby garbage. Babet abai kaban spubby abababi dabababi abanabai abachabu abalubby. Rubber abba pubby bubber abanaba slubbing garbage. Wabanabai wabas aban habai skabble. Mabai tubby chubber hubby tubby mubby. I'm apologies to Carol. I'm so sorry because that was pure gibberish.
Go, Carol.
I'm so
girl.
sorry.
Yeah, if I had to audition with you doing that, I don't know if we would have made it, babes. Like,
Nubbo,
I would have been like,
Nubbo.
love it, no. Squubby,
Abba Robbie Ama Nubba Dubba Bubbos. That's your name.
Dubba Bubbos. I like that.
Dubba Bubbos.
Miss Dubba Bubbos. Oh no. Okay. I don't have a special talent except maybe just trying to, I don't know, imitate everyone that we love. So maybe that's my special talent. I do have a pretty good Meryl these days, and I have a pretty good Olivia Pope, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's it. I thought those aren't really talents. I don't have any talent, you guys. Yikes. Special talents.
I was about to say, like, girl, you're in a musical. That's amazing. You got talent.
Like I have talent. I don't have any special ones. You asked for like special talents or special skills, and I'm like, I could barely make eggs, y'all. Like, it's okay.
Well, you can listen to your own soundtrack, so that's pretty impressive. I just got the voice memo app, and that's not nearly as impressive.
You know what? One of these days, you're gonna send yourself a voice memo, and you're gonna be really impressed with what you put out in the world. You are.
One day, we'll get there. We'll get there at one point. So so someone wanted to know now that you brought it up, can you imitate Meryl, like one of her song lines? Like, can you do that real quick before I get into the question? Just want to give us a little Meryl.
Well, Joellen has to set me up though.
Right. Who should I be?
Be Angie. Set up an Angie.
Okay. Oh, look, there's a fountain, Dee Dee. Make a wish. Dee Dee.
Death, I wish for death. Wait, she said, this queen walked by, she said, death, I wish for death. And
You're
left the frame.
Own movie.
Like left the frame. She did. Also, Meryl, not Dee Dee. Meryl. She loves to when she's waxing poetic about something wonderful. She just will say something along the lines of well, I just really had to pull from the depths to find, my inner diva, because I'm not a diva. If there's one thing I'm not, it's a diva. I'm not a diva. But we have seen the birth of two really wonderful careers in GLSEN and Ariana. That's an actual sentence she said, which we both began to sweat and die. But yes, she'll say Ariana and GLSEN. Anyways, bye.
Girl, you got a special talent. That is your special talent. Just Meryl.
My Meryl impressions. You're welcome.
Very impressive. Thank you for that. That was beautiful. But then I have another. That was like a 2-part question, except the first part was in no way related to the second one. So another person asked, do you wish, this is a drastic mood shift, sorry. Do you wish Miss Green apologized to Emma for everything? Was there an apology take in any of the cuts from the movies?
No, there was never an apology. That is deep. That went from light to deep very fast, but we love to see it, do we not? I think there was never an apology written. I don't think Mrs. Green would apologize with a grand declaration. Like, honestly, Alyssa's lucky to get what she got out of Mrs. Green. But I do think if you're watching, if you watch all the way through the credits, you do see these little bits and bobs. And you see Mrs. Green, you know, go up and celebrate and hug Emma. You see this thing that happens between them. And that, it may not be an apology, but it does feel like a form of acceptance in a way. And like I don't know why all of this happened, but, you know, now we're here and sparkles and glitter and love and yay. And it's thrilling. And it doesn't have words. It's just to like, wear your crown. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Wear your crown and shine your light around. And then they hug. It's really, really great. Gotta wear your crown. Yeah. Anyway.
Iconic. You
Something
have
like
to do Meryl's rap next. But I would also just like add on to that. I think like, I mean, that moment, that scene between Ariana and Carrie at the end is so powerful, and it is about their bond as a mother and a daughter. And like, Emma's not in the equation right now. It's about their mother-daughter relationship, and Emma knows that. And I mean, it's like, talk about main character syndrome. It's like, Emma's not the main character at that moment. The main character is Carrie and Ariana and what they're going through. And so I was just like crying the whole time watching the scene because it was so powerful, and like it's about those two characters.
Yeah. It's a good baton pass. Yeah. I think. Oh, you're so smart, Ellen.
You're so smart, Ari.
Thank you for that. Yeah, dramatic mood shift there. So our next question, Tati asks, what were your like thoughts or reactions on seeing the final product of your costumes for It's Time to Dance?
Oh, I loved mine. I mean, because I actually, Lou, our incredible costume designer, like that was the look that Alyssa actually picked out for herself. Like after she's like done the thing, she's standing in her power. She picked this look out for herself. So, you know, Lou let me like recreate some lines on the dress that weren't actually what the dress looked like originally. And I got to pick my safety pins. That was my little like, Ariana wants Alyssa to have safety pins, because right after the 2016, was it 2016 election? Wow, I believe it's 2016. Anyways, people started wearing safety pins as a sign of solidarity for marginalized communities, specifically the LGBTQ communities. People wearing safety pins, it was their way of saying, you are safe with me and I will stand up for you and I will fight for you. I got you. And I was like, you know what? Alyssa needs those. So I was thrilled. It was fun. I loved it.
I love that story about the safety pins. That's so good. And so like Lou, our costume designer, we went through a lot of different drafts of this. We knew we wanted it to be like a vintage tux, and we loved like the continuity of that same like light blue color. You know, Emma wears the dress at the fake prom in that color, and then at the end she wears what she feels most comfortable in, which is like this amazing tux. And like we had so many fittings. Lou worked so hard on just like getting the fit of it right, and like picking out like the sparkly tie, and just so much thought was put into not only the costume, but like making sure that we felt comfortable in what we were wearing. And like I'm so grateful that we get to work with creatives like that, who really like ask us, no, like, what do you want to wear? What are you comfortable wearing? Yeah, and I just, that blue tux, I love it so much.
You look
Yeah.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah, all of the outfits in that scene were phenomenal. They were just, watching this scene was thrilling in a sense, because everyone just looked so good and comfortable. Like you were saying, people look better when they look comfortable, and when the characters look comfortable. So Delaney asks, if you could choose a movie or TV show to be a part of and portray, who would it be and why?
Did I understand the question? If I could choose a movie or a TV show to be a part of?
I think I read the question wrong. If you could choose a character in a TV show or movie portray.
Oh, I wouldn't choose anything that's already existing because I like a lot of shows, like, but I don't know if I would choose an existing character. I maybe would say, like, I watch a lot of period dramas, which is interesting because most of those don't have people who look like me in them, but I find them interesting. So I maybe in a perfect world, I would say like, oh, I'd love to take a show like Queen's Gambit and, enhance the other side of what that looked like. We do get our good queen at the end, who I can't remember that character's name and I'm blanking, but the actress was really brilliant in the part. She plays the best friend from childhood. But again, that's a Black presenting female coming into the picture as a best friend, a source of wisdom, right? But I was like, what's going on with her though? I'd really love to know what else is there, or what would it have been like for, a Black woman, or or a Black man, or a Black non-binary person, in that time period. Like, what would it have been like? I'm just so curious. Like, take these period pieces and enhance them with some different perspectives. Like, also, this sounds really jaded or really weird, but like, were there Black people in England? Like, we have all of these period dramas, who are like showing all these different like sides of like, British monarchy, like the monarchy system and whatnot. I was like, were there people of color in the time periods? You know what I mean? And if they were, what were their lived experiences like? I would really love to see what the answer to that question is, but that's just me. Maybe that was a dumb question. Joellen, do you want to talk now?
No, that was such a good answer. And now I'm like, okay, we're manifesting this. Everyone here, like Ariana for a period piece, because that's going to be amazing. And I can't wait to see it. And I guess mine's like a silly answer, but we were talking about Fun Home before, and like if that ever comes to the screen, like I don't know how old I'll be, like maybe by the time it gets made I'll be adult Allison's age, and I can like look back on my life. But I just love that piece, and it's a great story that I would love to tell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you for those great answers. Both amazing characters. Dee asks, what song in the film was the hardest to dance to?
Hardest to dance to. What?
Build a prom. I mean, yeah. The final prom, like, because it just goes and goes and goes. That's really the only thing I had to dance to.
Yeah.
But it was challenging because, our choreography was wonderful. Also, slightly awkward at times. So like figuring out how to do it in the clothes over and over again, because that's the thing. You get to see a final product and it looks like we're doing it once, but no, we didn't. We did it like 50 times.
Over 3 days.
Over 3 days. So, it's like that was challenging, and just keeping up with it, because you fall behind the beat. So rad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say, Build a Prom, and then Zaz as well, like dancing on the stairs, and just the Fosse, like you have to have it so precise and in sync. And it was, that was very, very difficult. So hats off to our amazing dance team who led the way.
They did that. They really did.
Yeah, I also just wanted to shout out to Joellen, because I know you had to sing that opening scene where you're doing backstroke and singing at the same time at a pool.
Yeah.
I've been on swim team for 7 years. So that's not easy. I'm impressed with you. That is wonderful.
Thank you so much, Loki. I gotta again shout out to my swim coach, because I literally I did not know a single stroke. I I like hadn't gotten into a pool for 2 years because I low-key think pools are like kind of gross. So I had to get over my fear of like pools. And I had to learn how to do all these strokes, and then also like lip sync and like sing while we were doing it. So I appreciate that shout out.
You pulled it off
and yes,
flawlessly.
thank you. I point to it and I'm like, it's all me, like no body doubles. Like that's me.
Literally. You know
Thank
what?
you.
We should have talked about that more because that's hard.
It's like hard for some people it's actually very easy, but just because I have zero background in swimming or most athletic things, it was very hard. I even so my mom, like quick story, I know we're wrapping soon, but my mom played professional basketball like before it was even called the WNBA, and then she was like a women's basketball coach, and like she was an athletic director at colleges, and she's had so many of her like sports friends like message her on Facebook and be like, so like where did GLSEN learn to throw? Like did you like work with her on that? Because apparently my throwing is not good. I was like, what? Like that is what people are taking away? I was so bad. Even my mom, she was like, yeah, it's not. I was shocked.
You're like, I didn't know.
I literally would never know.
I thought you were great, hon. I think you're brilliant.
Sorry. Thank you.
It was magnificent. But the question from Haley is, what is the best advice you have received as an actor?
Low-key, I saw this on an infographic on Instagram, but it like has stuck with me ever since. I know we love that kind of setup. I saw it on an infographic on Instagram, but it said, it was like an illustration, and it was saying like, you are no less of an artist or a creator because you also have to work a job to pay your bills. And I mean, like when I graduated from college, I immediately started working like 3 jobs. Like one was minimum wage, one was $1 above minimum wage. And it's so easy to feel like, I'll have made it when I don't have to work a day job, but it doesn't work like that. And your voice is just as valuable and just as worthy, like no matter what. And like pay your bills. That's what's most important. Like there should not be any shame around that. So thank you to that Instagram infographic.
Come on, infographic. Pretty simple. I mean, in its simplest form, stay curious and say yes. Curiosity is like the greatest tool that we have as actors, right? Like it's a great motivation in a scene. Be curious. But also say yes. Judith Light, again, she's like, just keep saying yes. You'll never be without work if you say yes. And also just say yes, like try anything, try everything. You're never the smartest person in the room. And even if you are, you're not, you know what I mean? Like you got to be open. You got to be amiable. You got to be willing to fall on your sword if you need to. Like just be open to saying yes to all of the experiences, and your life and your career path will be really interesting. I think it's worked for me.
Thank you for that advice. We have 2 more questions and then we'll wrap up. So the first of the last 2 is somebody whose name we don't know asked, what would you want to see happen in a hypothetical sequel?
Oh, I want to see what, I feel like, you know what? I'm not college. I just want to see the college moment. Like what happens? Do they stay together? Do they form an open relationship? What happens?
I second that. I think prom 2 after prom, like what happens in college would be fun.
Nice. So our final question is from Daisy, and she asks, what is something you want every teenager who is watching here or watching the film to know?
I'll go first because Joellen always wraps things up so beautifully. So I'll be quick. I want anyone watching the film, but especially the young people, to just remember that like your path is your own, and the bravest thing that you can do for yourself is to stand in your own power. How you get to that moment is totally about you. You should not feel rushed into standing into your power, because the moment that you get there, it's so rewarding. And you know, the journey to standing in your power and your most authentic self, it can be bumpy. It's not all cupcakes and sprinkles, but again, it's possible to find a happy ending if you keep going. Happy endings have many different faces, right? Could be chosen family, it could be your family, but like, the happy ending is possible. And don't give up just because you hit a few bumps.
Oh, I love that so much. Yeah. And I think I would just, add that, you know, your very existence as an LGBTQ person, whether you are out, whether you are not out, like your very existence is sacred and valuable, and you are on no one else's schedule but your own. And you are so loved. And like, look at this community we have here. We've got like 150 people watching this Q&A. Like, this is like, this felt like such a great time, because like this community is so supportive, and it is ready to welcome you with open arms whenever you are ready. You are on no one's schedule but your own. But yeah, you are loved, and your existence is sacred.
That is
Love you
very
guys.
powerful. Yes. Hearts to close out this
Yay.
amazing Q&A. Thank you so much, Joellen and Ariana, for joining us for this. Those were some amazing answers, and I'm sure everyone really enjoyed this. Thank you to the folks at Netflix for organizing this, and everyone watching for submitting some questions and just coming to hang out with us for an hour. Make sure to check out The Prom, streaming now on Netflix. If you're here, you've probably already seen it, but watch it again. Watch it 2 times, 3
Watch
times.
it again.
More, yes.
Christmas, share it with your family.
Definitely perfect Christmas watch. Watch it now on Netflix, and that's it. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
You're amazing.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, panel.
Yes, thank you to the Teen Council. Yes.
Amazing. You guys are amazing.
Y'all are the best
Mwah.
moderators. Like, you deserve to have your own show, because this is wonderful.
Ooh, there's an idea.
And thank you, Carol. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
Woo!
Come through, Carol. Bye, guys.
And we're going to stop live stream. Thank you all so much.